These are not ordinary cattle. They are 12 of the biggest, heaviest, and most unbelievable bovine giants on Earth. Animals so massive they seem almost unreal. From towering breeds to record-breaking individuals, here are 12 gigantic cattle that will make you question what nature is truly capable of. Part 1. Chianina, Italy, the towering titan of Tuscany. At number 1, we begin with a true titan of the cattle world, the magnificent Chianina from Italy. If there is any breed that deserves to open a list of the largest cattle on Earth, it is this one. Originating in the valleys of Tuscany, the Chianina is not simply another impressive farm animal. In Italy, it is widely recognized as the tallest and heaviest cattle breed on the planet, a living giant whose presence is so commanding that when seen up close, it can almost feel unreal. There is something deeply striking about the way this breed carries itself. Its porcelain white coat, powerful frame, and immense height give it an almost mythical appearance, as though it were created to represent strength in its purest form. Adult bulls of this breed can reach or even exceed 1.9 meters at the shoulder, which means that an average person standing beside one would barely come up to its upper body. And height is only part of the spectacle. Their body weight can rise beyond 1,500 kilograms, turning them into literal tons of bone, muscle, and force. Long before modern tractors transformed agriculture, the Chianina played a crucial role in working the heavy soils of Italy. Its sheer power made it invaluable in the fields, while its muscular build and physical resilience established it as a gold standard of strength. Even today, although it no longer pulls plows in the way it once did, its legacy has never truly faded. The breed remains a symbol of nobility, physical dominance, and extraordinary genetic power, proving that some giants do not need exaggeration to feel unbelievable. Part 2. Knickers, Australia. The giant, too big to be processed. At number 2, we have Knickers, the Australian giant that became a global sensation almost overnight. Among all the unusual cattle ever seen by the public, very few created the same level of shock and fascination as this enormous Holstein Friesian steer from Western Australia. Knickers was not merely large by ordinary standards. He was so extraordinarily oversized that many people who first saw photographs of him standing beside the rest of the herd assumed the images had been digitally altered. But there was no trick. His size was completely real, and that is exactly what made him unforgettable. Standing at around 1.94 meters tall, Knickers reached a height comparable to that of a professional basketball star. When he stood among other cattle, they looked almost miniature beside him, which only intensified the strange visual impact he had on anyone who saw him. His weight, estimated at about 1,400 kilograms, added even more to the impression that he was less a normal farm animal and more a biological anomaly. Yet the most remarkable part of his story was not only his size, but what that size ultimately did for him. In the livestock industry, the fate of a steer is often straightforward. But when his owner tried to sell him, an unusual problem emerged. Knickers was simply too big for the processing facilities. No production line or machinery was built to handle an animal of his dimensions. That extraordinary fact spared him from an ordinary end. Instead of becoming part of the food chain, he was allowed to remain on the farm, where he took on an almost leader-like role within the herd, with other cattle following him as though he were their giant protector. Part 3. Belgian Blue, Belgium. The bull that looks genetically impossible. At number 3, we arrive at one of the most visually shocking cattle breeds on this list, the Belgian Blue from Belgium. If you have ever wondered what a bull would look like if nature pushed muscular development to an almost unbelievable extreme, this breed is the answer. The first reaction most people have when they see a Belgian Blue is disbelief. These animals do not look like ordinary cattle at all. They look like bodybuilders of the livestock world, with muscles bulging so dramatically beneath the skin that the entire animal seems to defy the natural limits of a herbivore. It is the kind of appearance that makes people pause and question whether what they are seeing can possibly be real. But there is nothing artificial about the effect. The extraordinary build of the Belgian Blue comes from a natural genetic mutation often described as double muscling. In simple terms, the protein known as myostatin, which normally limits muscle growth, is suppressed. Without that natural restraint, muscle fibers develop far beyond ordinary levels, producing the massive shoulders, back, and hindquarters that make this breed so famous. What makes the Belgian Blue even more remarkable is that, despite its intimidating and almost unreal appearance, it is known for having a surprisingly calm temperament. Yet its body is so extreme that even reproduction has been affected. Because calves are often exceptionally large, many births require veterinary assistance. In every possible way, this breed represents a stunning example of how a single genetic difference can transform a normal farm animal into something that looks almost biologically impossible. Part 4. South Devon, United Kingdom, the gentle giant of Britain. At number 4, we move to the green and spacious landscapes of southwest England, where one of the most imposing native breeds in the United Kingdom first emerged, the South Devon. Known around the world as the gentle giant, this breed carries a reputation built not only on its enormous size, but also on the unusual calmness that comes with it. It is recognized as the largest of the native British cattle breeds, and that distinction alone places it among the most formidable bovine giants on Earth. Yet what makes the South Devon truly memorable is the balance it achieves between physical enormity and a temperament so peaceful that it seems almost at odds with its appearance. The first thing that stands out in a South Devon is its massive skeletal frame. Unlike some breeds that appear exaggerated through concentrated muscle alone, this one gives the impression of deep structural strength, with a broad and powerful body built to carry immense weight. Adult bulls commonly reach between 1,200 and 1,500 kilograms, but specialists are often especially impressed by how efficiently these animals convert feed into body mass, allowing them to reach heavy weights with remarkable speed. Their distinctive copper-red coat, often marked by soft, wavy tones, covers a long and deep body that radiates solid power. Historically, the breed was valued for three important purposes: meat, rich milk, and heavy draft work. Yet despite all that strength, the South Devon remains famous for its calm behavior. Farmers have long noted how manageable these giants can be, and that contrast only adds to their fascination. What could be more striking than a creature this large, this powerful, and yet this unexpectedly gentle? Part 5. Brahman, India, the ancient-looking master of survival. At number 5, we come to a breed whose appearance seems to carry the weight of ancient mythology, the Brahman. Originating in India and later refined in the United States through the crossing of several Zebu lines, the Brahman became not only a giant in terms of size, but also one of the most impressive survivors in the cattle world. Its presence in any pasture is impossible to ignore. There is something immediately commanding about its outline, something that makes it stand apart from every other breed around it. It does not simply look large, it looks dominant, primitive, and unmistakably built for endurance. The most distinctive feature of the adult male is, without question, the enormous hump above the shoulders. This mass serves as a reserve of fatty tissue and stored energy, but visually it gives the animal a prehistoric quality, as though it belongs to a much older world. Yet the grandeur of the Brahman goes far beyond that single feature. Its loose and abundant skin, especially around the dewlap, helps it disperse heat with extraordinary efficiency, which is why the breed performs so well in punishing climates where many others would struggle. Under blazing sun and harsh conditions, the Brahman remains calm and resilient. In terms of size, bulls of this breed are true titans, with body weight easily exceeding 100 kilograms. Their deep frame, heavy bone structure, long drooping ears, and slow, deliberate walk give them an air of quiet authority. They move as though they fully understand that they are the rulers of their environment, and that is exactly what makes them so unforgettable. Part 6. Gaur, India, the wild giant that resembles a living tank. At number 6, we step away from the domestic world and into the forests of South and Southeast Asia, where one of the most formidable bovine giants on Earth still exists, the gaur. If there were a way to travel back in time and witness the beast that once seemed to dominate the natural world, the gaur would feel like the closest thing to that vision. According to the source text, it is considered the largest wild bovine on the planet, and once you look at its structure, that claim becomes very easy to believe. This is not simply a large cow, It is a biological fortress, a creature that looks as though it was carved for war. What makes the gore so extraordinary is not only its sheer size, but the raw force visible in every part of its body. Its shoulders and back carry a massive muscular ridge that runs down through the frame, creating the image of a moving wall of power. Its skin is dark, almost coal black, which makes the relief of the muscles stand out even more dramatically as it moves through dense forest. Then there are its striking white lower legs, which create a sharp visual contrast and somehow make the animal look even more imposing. In terms of scale, the numbers are astonishing. An adult male can reach around 2.2 meters at the top of the muscular ridge, and its weight can rise to an extraordinary 1,500 kilograms in the wild. Its upward curving horns add another layer of danger, and its strength is said to be so immense that even Bengal tigers, the most feared predators in its ecosystem, think carefully before attacking a fully grown adult. Watching a gar in motion is like watching nature reveal one of its oldest and most intimidating designs. Part 7, Main-Anjou, France, the living freight train of the French fields. At number 7, we arrive in the Loire region of France, where one of the most imposing cattle breeds, shaped by both human selection and raw agricultural necessity, first took form, the Main-Anjou. If this animal had to be described in a single phrase, it would be pure brute force. Unlike breeds admired mainly for elegance or visual refinement, the Main-Anjou was originally built for a world that depended on muscular labor. This was a time before tractors transformed the countryside, when the hardest work in the fields had to be carried on the backs and shoulders of animals powerful enough to endure it. In that world, this breed stood out as a giant designed for real physical burden. What makes the Main-Anjou so striking at first sight is not only its height, but the extraordinary length and depth of its body. There is something about its proportions that creates the impression of a freight train made of flesh and bone. That enormous structure is supported by an especially heavy and dense skeleton, capable of carrying the immense weight of adult bulls that can easily reach between 1,400 and 1,500 kilograms. This is an animal that occupies space in an overwhelming way, visually dominating every frame in which it appears. Its coat is usually a deep dark red, often marked with white patches, and that coloring only emphasizes the solid and evenly distributed muscle that defines its body. Although the breed today is valued mainly for its excellent meat, its history as a draft animal still lives on in its broad frame, powerful limbs, and unmistakable sense of stored force. Even standing still, it looks like an engine built for heavy work. Part 8, Parthenaise, France, the dense giant built like natural engineering. At number 8, we come to one of the oldest and most visually impressive cattle breeds in all of Europe, the Parthenaise from western France. If many giant breeds stand out because of sheer height, the Parthenaise is remarkable for a different reason. Its power seems to come from density. The moment you look at it, you do not get the impression of a tall or loosely built animal. Instead, it appears like a compact mass of tightly packed muscle, as though nature had shaped it not for display, but for absolute physical efficiency. There is something almost architectural about its body, something that makes it feel less like an ordinary farm animal and more like a deliberate work of natural engineering. That impression becomes even stronger once its musculature is examined more closely. The breed is especially known for the heavy development of the hindquarters and lower back, areas that give it a compact yet forceful silhouette. Every movement seems to reveal power stored under the skin, and that is exactly what makes the Parthenaise so imposing. Historically, it was valued for versatility, quality milk, and the endurance needed for hard labor in the French countryside. Over time, however, it evolved into a true titan of meat production. Bulls of this breed can reach weights above 1,300 kilograms, supported by strong limbs and a fine but highly resilient bone structure. Its wheat-colored or brown coat, often marked by dark outlines around the eyes and muzzle, gives it an elegant appearance, almost like a natural mask. That refinement creates a striking contrast with the brute force contained within the body. Watching a Parthenaise walk is like watching power itself tighten and release with every step. Part 9, Blonde d'Aquitaine, France, the athletic giant with impossible proportions. At number 9, we move to southwestern France, where one of the most strikingly elegant giants in the history of cattle breeding was developed, the Blonde Aquitaine. This breed was created through the unification of three ancient working breeds, which gave it a genetic foundation built on strength, endurance, and long-standing utility. Yet what truly sets it apart from so many other bovine giants is not simply its mass. It is the way that mass is carried. Unlike breeds that look heavily compacted or brutally thick, the Blonde Aquitaine has a body so long, tall, and finely structured that it seems almost impossible for an animal of such weight. It has the visual line of an athlete, not a beast burdened by its own size. That contrast is precisely what makes the breed so unforgettable. The first thing many observers notice is its elegance. Its body is unusually long, its skeletal frame appears fine yet powerful, and the overall silhouette feels refined rather than crude. Adult bulls can easily rise beyond 1.6 meters at the shoulder, and their body length only adds to the impression that they belong to a different class of cattle altogether. Yet beneath that athletic outline lies astonishing weight. Males can exceed 1,500 kilograms, becoming towering masses of high-quality muscle. Their coat, ranging from pale wheat to creamy white, highlights long and flat muscle lines that differ sharply from the rounder and heavier-looking musculature seen in other breeds. The result is an animal that seems to combine grace and physical dominance in a way that should not be possible, yet clearly is. Whether seen in a pasture or a show ring, the Blonde Aquitaine carries itself with a majestic presence that instantly separates it from the rest. Part 10. Montbéliard, France. The Alpine giant built like a living tank. At number 10, we come to the Montbéliard, a breed born in the Jura Mountains along the border between France and Switzerland. If many of the cattle on this list impress through height or exaggerated muscular development, the Montbéliard stands out for a different reason. Its greatness lies in volume. These are not merely tall animals. They possess such width through the chest and such depth through the body that they resemble moving tanks made of flesh and bone. When they graze across the slopes of eastern France, they do not simply occupy the landscape. They dominate it with a square, powerful frame that gives off a sense of weight and stability from every angle. This giant is the result of centuries of adaptation to difficult terrain and changing mountain climates, and that history is written clearly into its body. Its skeleton is massive, its limbs are relatively short but strongly built, and everything about its structure seems designed to support a broad and deep body with complete reliability. Bulls of this breed can reach weights of up to 1,200 kilograms. Yet what often leaves the strongest impression is not the number itself, but the extraordinary breadth of the chest and the flat, wide back that create such a commanding silhouette. Its coat is another distinctive feature, marked by red and white coloring, often with the head and legs remaining clean white, which gives the animal an appearance that is both orderly and powerful. Historically, the Montbéliard has been celebrated as one of the finest dual-purpose breeds in the world. Its milk is used in some of France's most famous cheeses, while its ability to produce quality meat keeps it firmly among the major cattle breeds of Europe. It may not display explosive musculature, but it does not need to. Its sheer bodily volume is enough to make its strength undeniable. Part 11, Simmental, Switzerland. The monument of strength and versatility. At number 11, we reach one of the most famous and widely recognized cattle breeds in the world, the Simmental of Switzerland. Originating in the idyllic Simi Valley of the Bernese Oberland, this breed is far more than a picturesque mountain cow. Although many people know the Simmental as a familiar and highly adaptable breed, its true scale becomes most impressive when one looks at its purebred representatives, animals that were shaped over centuries to embody solidity, usefulness, and sheer physical presence. In the world of cattle breeding, the name Simmental has long been associated with mass, reliability, and a level of functional power that few breeds can rival. What makes the Simmental stand out among bovine giants is the sheer volume of its body. This is not only a matter of height. Its broad skeletal frame, deep chest, and strong rectangular outline create an impression of enormous structural strength. Adult males can reach very impressive size, but it is often their weight that leaves the strongest mark, commonly falling between 100 watts and 1,300 kilograms. Everything about the breed suggests endurance. Its broad back, solid limbs, and heavily built frame make it look perfectly suited to the alpine conditions in which it was developed. Visually, the breed is also unmistakable, with red or yellowish patches over a white background and the characteristic white face that gives it an almost noble appearance. Yet behind that calm and dignified look stands formidable physical strength. Historically valued for both milk and meat, the Simmental had to develop a body capable of efficiency in both roles, and that double purpose helped shape one of the most respected and visually dominant cattle breeds in the world. Its global adaptability only adds to its stature, proving that some giants are not only huge, but enduringly influential. Part 12. Bazadez, France, the compact giant of solid power. At number 12, we arrive in the heart of southwestern France, in the historic town of Bazas, where one of the most visually powerful cattle breeds in European livestock history first took shape, the Bazadez. Although it is not the most numerous breed in the world, its appearance is so striking that anyone seeing it for the first time is likely to be arrested by its silhouette. What defines the Bazadez is not simply size in the ordinary sense. It is its extraordinary solidity, a kind of bodily monolith that seems to challenge the familiar proportions of domestic cattle. Everything about its frame suggests density, resistance, and deeply rooted strength. The most impressive feature of this breed is the width of the front part of the body. Bulls possess exceptionally broad necks and shoulders, giving them a powerful frontal presence that commands immediate respect. And this is not a matter of excess fat. It is compact, dense muscle connected to a deep chest, creating the impression of a living granite block. Their elegant ash-gray coat, with tones that shift subtly depending on the light, emphasizes the relief of the muscles and the thickness of the skin, making each animal look almost like a sculpture carved for strength. Even if the Bazadez may not rival some other giants in height, the density of its bone and muscle allows bulls to reach around 1,200 kilograms. To watch one move is to witness stability in its purest form. Their pace is slow and deliberate, carrying the feeling of something immensely hard to shake or stop. Historically, these bulls were preferred for the heaviest work on French fields, and that legacy of brute force still seems written directly into their structure. The Bazadez is proof that a giant does not need towering height to be overwhelming. These giants prove that cattle can be far more astonishing than most people ever imagine. Some impress through height, some through muscle, and some through the sheer force of their presence. But all of them remind us of the same thing. Nature can still create animals that look almost impossible to believe.